I want to request that the contract for the custodial staff be brought for the April meeting. It's not customary in the past for it to be brought months later, once it's ratified by the group. I would not want to be in conflict with the classroom teachers group.
Well, as I stated, the contract, the agreement will not go into effect until July. There are some questions, typos that we're going to talk to. We meet with the association on the 23rd, I think, something like that. And then it'll be for.
It's a request, though, as a board member to bring the item to the board agenda. And we have that right to ask for that to be brought.
Well, we're going to present the final draft to you all next month, but we wanted you all to see what, if any corrections were made beforehand. Then we'll present the final draft to you all next month.
Okay.
The draft is basically designed for you all to see the changes that were made in the initial discussion. So therefore, when we present it to you all next month, you'll know what changes were made in the initial discussion. Also, do understand this is not going to affect until July 1st also.
Can I clarify one thing real quick?
Sure.
This agreement is for the 2013-14 school year, so it goes into effect when ratified, not July 1st.
It should have been approved by both parties. You hadn't approved the document.
So the concern for the board is we hear LREA saying it's ready, but then we hear the district saying it's not ready. And so that's a concern for us. So you're basically saying what we have in front of us now is not ready to be voted on.
It's been approved, I think.
My recommendation is not to vote on it in its current form. Waiting to May, we present it in its final draft form, and then we're finished with it.
Yes, ma'am. Can we put the stipulation that, well, I don't know what stipulation. I need some legal advice.
Yes, you can do it either way.
Mr. Coleman and I collaborated at the close of the collective bargaining agreement. And so I circulated this document. Mr. Coleman went on sick leave. January, I circulated this document for the parties to review and make sure that the edited document is what we agreed to before printing a final copy. And so that's just the point where we are now. It was not to change anything conflicting with the original purpose and intent as agreed to by the committee.
It sounds as though there's not any malicious intent to keep from getting that to LREA in a timely manner. Is that true?
That is true. The superintendent has a schedule for the board agenda meeting. And of course, we certainly will not do anything that would be contrary to the original intent and purpose of the agreement. And I was a part of that, as well as Mr. Coleman, in leading that process.
Okay. How quickly can we get the changes made in its final draft?
Most certainly, it will be fully ready for the agenda meeting without any doubt.
What type of negative impact is this having on the custodians because they're waiting? How are they being impacted?
This document is only in language. There's not a negative impact to any degree, and we really see no change in what they're doing now. Okay. No negative impact to any degree.
I just want to point out that there is a negative impact because the custodians feel that, as it has been customary for 50 years in this district, they ratify, the board ratifies. Whenever you don't ratify the same document that they ratified, it's a problem.
I think there are like grammatical errors.
You're absolutely right.
So what I'm trying to figure out, if we ratify and then go back and make the grammatical changes, is that okay? You saying that's okay?
That's fine. Because you're ratifying the same document. You both have to ratify the exact same thing. If you wanted to fix it before ratification, it should have been fixed before it was sent to LREA to ratify. That's what the problem is.
Well, let me say two things about Ms. Gordon's comments. She's right that to have an agreement, you've got to agree on the same thing.
I just don't want us to get caught up in a catch-22 here, that we inadvertently back ourselves back into negotiation. And that's what I don't want to happen. And so I don't know, for me, Madam Chair, I'd make a motion. I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the agreement that was ratified by the custodians and that was signed off on by the Little Rock School District be ratified. Second. All right. I've got the second, but I'll give you a chance to speak, Dr. Suggs.
Thank you. The final draft has not been submitted. We have not signed off on anything. So only thing we're asking, we're not changing anything. You're just basically proofing as if this was an English class. You have your basic copy, okay, your rough draft. You take that rough draft to your English teacher. You present it to the English teacher, and the English teacher may say, oh, well, you know, go back and review such and such. You just have to do some touch-ups, not changing any other verbiage, anything of that particular nature, and then bring back your final draft. And also, our historian has also stated that our board hasn't normally approved anything that wasn't in its final form. As a matter of fact, historically, they have refused to do so. So we're not changing anything in the document. Only thing we want to do is have the opportunity, put it in a nice packet, final format, you are approving. I mean, we support the document. After we reviewed it, we support them 100%. We want our custodians to have an agreement. We think it's important.
Based on my experience on negotiated contracts, we have signed them in the past for record. We have signed them, even with typos, whatever. It's the way negotiated agreements have been done. I just want to state that for record.
And it is my recommendation that the board does not seek to approve this particular document in its current form.
I just want to state clearly that I expect everybody smiling and a final document for us to vote on at the agenda meeting. That's 3 weeks because of the schedule this time.
I'd just like to ditto what's been said, that I don't want us getting caught in a situation where we're negotiating up here at the board, and we want to see the document as it was agreed upon. I'm hearing both sides say that. We come to agenda meeting and it's a flare up about this or that, then heads got to roll.
But we are back to it, and we are to the issue of approval of professional negotiated agreement for custodial educational support professionals, 2013-16. Dr. Suggs.
Yes, Mr. President. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Directors direct administration to return the negotiation team to return to the table in with the advice of our attorneys and reconvene the negotiation for the custodial educational support professional contract agreement.
You'll recall the last board meeting, I saw this proposed agreement for the first time. And in the course of reviewing this document, I wrote to Mr. Robinson several emails pointing out that, one, I thought they'd done a good job of cleaning up the non-substantive issues, but that I also saw a number of substantive problems. And I wasn't familiar with the history of the negotiations, or even I know they've been going on since at least February 2013. I'm not sure when and how they were authorized or what the instructions were to the administrative team, but I know the negotiations have been gone on for a long time. And I wrote an email on April the 29th.
You have to understand the history of the process, the historical process in which all the contracts, teachers' contracts, has been one in which communication was basically facilitated through the negotiation team. Right. Now, do understand the current governing body of, or I should say management, was totally different back in February. The person who's over HR now was not in that seat.
Okay.
The superintendent was different at that particular time. So you have that transition, and then during that particular process, you know, everything is basically everywhere for the most part. But going back to the process, to my knowledge, has been one in the past where the negotiation team will go to the table, negotiate it, and then basically bring it up for ratification. That's wrong. That should have never happened in the first place, in my opinion. The process should have been the document, all documents, contracts are vetted with the attorney through the superintendent, which is basically what happened in this situation. Because when the superintendent when the superintendent brings to the board, I'm recommending this particular document, he's saying in good faith, or she's saying in good faith, I have reviewed this for the school board, and it's based on my recommendation that you all approve this. Now, knowing what I know now and what I've learned over this particular course, I cannot recommend approval of this particular document at this particular time. I'm not asking you all to vote on it. What I'm asking for you all to do is direct staff to go back to the negotiation table if possible. Well, we have to go back to the negotiation table to get this fixed.
Contract before this one, did the attorneys vet it?
I don't think so.
And the
Mr.
contract before
McNeil.
that one, did the attorneys vet it?
You know, I can't say I honestly remember all of that. I never remember being directly involved, meeting with the negotiating teams, doing anything in that level of detail, approving or even reviewing any tentative agreements or anything in that
Okay,
level.
I want two more points if I can. Number one is, we thought we had competent representation, I would think, during the negotiations. Is that correct, Dr. Suggs? Did you feel that that there was competent negotiation between the administration and LREA to even bring the document that was brought to us?
Representation had basically changed. It was not the initial person who was at the table.
No, I didn't ask. I just, did you feel we had competent information that was brought back to, what was brought to us, did you feel it was a competent negotiated document from your staff?
No, the document itself, no. That's why basically that's why I held the document, recommended that you all not sign the document in this draft form. Our last meeting was when I had brought up all the questions about the draft version of this particular document. There were questions in this particular document. So to answer your question, no.
What I heard, that the document was sufficient, and I'm trying to go back into some of the terminologies. It seems that you said we in agreement with what we've negotiated here, and all we got to do is get the typos. I'm hearing typos and corrections. I didn't hear anything about anything substantive. I didn't. Now maybe some other board member did.
I understand.
You probably didn't at that particular time. I don't recall saying things of substance, but in further review, that's when the substance came up.
So
But you're absolutely right about the typos. Substance, we didn't even discuss that.
Let me ask Dr. Suggs, would you remind us of your recommendation, sir, and then we'll open it up for a motion.
The administration recommends that the negotiation teams return to the table.
Mr. Robinson had brought this to all parties concerned and everyone had signed off on it, but then today things were discovered that were wrong? Is that kind of how the timeline went?
I guess.
Okay, then when were the errors discovered?
Everyone, when you say everyone, you're talking about the school board?
Well, no, I mean the negotiating parties or whatever that were all agreeing and battling it out. They signed off on it or something?
To the best of my knowledge, yes,
Okay.
they did. However, as we stated, our past practices cannot continue on like they have been because the proper people do not have the opportunity to actually vet. And it's like I said.
So there's not, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. There's not an attorney
No, ma'am.
in that initial writing of it and,
No, ma'am.
okay.
Mr.
the one technical question I do want to ask, is this the first negotiated agreement with the custodians? Is this the first one?
I don't
No,
believe so.
we've had others.
All right, well, I wonder if you've had others, this is just a question, was some of the same language
Be the
that
same.
has been controversial now, was it in the last agreement?
I think it was.
Was some of that language in that last agreement?
I thought, and I'm going, Mr. McAdoo, I'm really relaying what I thought I heard Mr. Bailey say a little earlier this evening, that up until about 2010, there was an agreement with the custodians, but I don't know why that was discontinued or how the whole process was started again in February of